All right. Hi, everyone. What is today? Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Again, I can't remember what day it is most times, but hello, everyone. It is April 1st. Happy 1st of April. Happy start of a new month and a new quarter. Thank you for tuning in today. Today, I want to talk to you about metrics. I know you probably already assume that every time the month ends and a quarter ends, I'm always on Instagram and stories preaching about how important it is to know your numbers, understand your numbers, and analyze your numbers. And so today is no different. I actually today want to talk to you about 5 metrics in particular that most business owners tend to ignore. Of course, this is not everyone. I know a lot of you are very, very diligent with your analytics, but I know for many of us, we are not. And I used to be that person where I did everything I could to avoid the numbers. It was never something I cared about or my strong suit. And I think that when we hear looking at your numbers, sometimes we only look at like those bottom line numbers. So typically we're looking at total revenue, total expenses, total profit, maybe total number of customers. We're looking at our follower count, our subscriber growth, which all of those things are absolutely important, but there are other things that we should be considering, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. So before I jump in, I'm going to quickly introduce myself. My name is Kashaira. I am a business and brand strategist. I specialize in helping small business owners create magnetic messaging and develop consistent revenue in their business. You can learn all about me at thepowercollective.co. I want to alert you that I have a new freebie available for you. If you go to thepowercollective.co/resources, you will see that I have a new ebook called How to Attract Your First 1,000 Email Subscribers. So the start of Q2, let's start building those lists. Let's start building those databases. So you can go ahead and visit that link whenever you get a chance to download that ebook. But again, today we are talking about metrics, right? So if you follow me on Instagram or you're in my Facebook group, earlier today I posted my Q1 results, so you can go and check that out. So I posted not only for you the total sales for the month of March, as well as total sales for Q1, but I also posted a breakdown of where my revenue sources are coming from. So you were able to see the percentage of my revenue that comes from speaking engagements and that comes from coaching and digital products. You were also able to see my expenses and where I actually spend money in my business. So after you take a look at that, if you do want a deeper dive, I'm going to be hosting a live stream case study tomorrow at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Facebook if you want to check that out. So last night I was literally up at midnight playing around with numbers and looking at things. And so again, I want to share with you just 5 quick metrics that I think you all should make sure you're taking a look at as well. So the very first metric I want you to think about is your close rate. So for those of you who are new entrepreneurs and you're like, what is a close rate? A close rate is basically what percentage of the sales conversations, sales meetings that you have that actually results in a sale. So if you are a coach or a consultant, typically you sell over the phone or you sell during meetings. And so you need the client to verbally commit and then of course pay. And so you want to actually compare the amount of yeses you've received to the amount of calls you've had. Because again, when we're looking at those bottom line numbers, when we hit our revenue goal, we're just really, really excited that we hit it, but we're not really looking at the how. And so you might find that you have a really high close rate. And so that sets the tone for how you want to move forward. So when you get ready to launch a new service or reopen a service, you're able to say, based on my previous close rates, I know I need to, let's say hypothetically, book 10 sales calls in order to get 6 new clients because I know I have a close rate of 60%. Right? And on the contrary, you might have a lower close rate, which means you need to drive even more leads to hit your goals. So the purpose of even tracking stuff like this is, one, it's going to help you just get better and improve your sales process and get better at the sales cycle. But then 2, it helps you to actually set realistic goals moving forward. So if for the month of April, you have a goal of closing 6 clients, you can look at your track record and say, based on how I'm performing in the past, I need to bring in 100 new leads or 200 new leads in order to hit that goal. You have to understand how you're performing so that you can actually rise to that occasion. That means you might need to do more webinars or do more social media posts, things like that. But it's hard to actually work towards these goals, these arbitrary numbers, when we don't even know what's really factoring in. We're kind of doing what I call hope marketing, and we're just putting stuff out there and hoping for the best, but there's no real science or logic behind it. The second number I want you to look at is your bounce rate. So now this is actually going into your analytics. So if you don't have analytics on your website, you can install them for free with Google, using Google Analytics. If you use Shopify and Squarespace, or even Wix, I think they have built-in analytics. I actually install Google Analytics in addition to the Squarespace analytics that we have. But either one, they will give you your bounce rate. And so the bounce rate essentially is telling you what percentage of your website visitors are leaving after viewing one page and not taking any action, right? And so you need to look at this. Here is why. Many times I've seen people launch courses, products, services, and the product or service doesn't sell, and we just throw the whole idea away. And if that's you, let us know. Have you ever had something that didn't sell? And I've done this before, where it's like, well, nobody bought it, or it was limited enrollment, so I'm throwing a whole idea away. I'm never touching it again. I know I've been there. But what could happen is the idea that you have could be good, but there's something going on with the sales page that's not converting. It could be something as simple as the buttons aren't working, or there's too many pop-ups, or it's actually not best suited for mobile. Maybe the page you built looks amazing on desktop, but 80% of your visitors are coming from a phone and it doesn't look good on a phone, right? Or maybe there's just something with the sales language. And I typically tell people, if you are in the middle of a launch and you are selling and you're getting a lot of traffic to your webpage but no conversions, that means something's wrong with the sales page. If you aren't getting a lot of traffic to your sales page, then that means there's something wrong with your call to action and how you're marketing. This is what helps you to stop throwing the baby out with the bathwater and actually fixing and diagnosing the real problem. So looking at your bounce rate is so important, and looking at what pages they're bouncing from so that you can optimize it. Even if you're thinking about redoing your website, sometimes you don't need to redo the whole site. Sometimes you need to fix up that home page, or fix up the work with me page, or make sure that the buttons actually work to get booked. How many times have you've been on your own site and you discovered randomly that a link was broken or something didn't work? Those things just happen by chance. Something could work today and not work tomorrow, which is why it's really important to double check those things. And even today, in the 30 Days of Branding Challenge, which today is day 1, and if you want to get in, you still can. But part of the day 1 challenge was like auditing your social media, but then also auditing your website, because sometimes your website can have outdated info, expired products, expired promotions, referencing things you don't sell or you don't do anymore, and all of that can contribute to your bounce rate. The third metric I want you to consider is your visibility, right? And so visibility is a different kind of metric to track, because visibility isn't something that you can just log into Instagram Analytics or Squarespace Analytics and find. You have to manually track this. So I actually give my clients and my membership group a copy of the dashboard that I personally use, and one of the tabs on there is to track basically visibility. So I consider visibility an opportunity to get in front of somebody else's audience. So that looks like podcast interviews, blog interviews, whenever I've been in a newspaper or an online magazine, speaking engagements, Instagram live interviews that we do on here a lot. Was I a speaker in somebody's Facebook group? Just any chance to get myself in front of a new audience. And I teach a lot about organic marketing versus like paid ads, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm more of an organic girl. And so part of my strategy is actually tracking how, like, my visibility rates, right? And looking to see this quarter, what effort did I put into getting in front of a new audience? And then looking to see, was there any way that this impacted my sales? And one easy way to see if something impacted your sales is to have a very specific call to action for that visibility opportunity, right? So the last podcast I was interviewed for 2 days ago, I promoted one of my freebies in particular, and I gave a certain bit.ly link so that when that episode goes live, I actually have a way to track how much visibility did this opportunity bring me. Again, this is going to be manual. If you have an assistant, you can outsource this and have them do it for you, but you do need to track it. And so that's one metric I think we overlook. I know we all secretly, want to be featured and, we want to be interviewed. You might not say it out loud, but you want to, right? And those opportunities come and we get really excited and we do them, but we're not measuring them. We're not tracking them, right? And so that needs to be a part of your analytics dashboard. What visibility opportunities are you taking advantage of? And are you actually carving out time to engage in it? So one of my clients, Candace Nicole, just launched a program around PR for small business owners who may not be able to afford publicists. So check her out at Candace Nicole PR on Instagram. I can't remember the name of the offer, but just check out her page and you'll see it. But even so, if you're like, I have no idea how to approach visibility, I have no idea how to put myself out there, programs like that are really good for you. I've been in the game for a long time, so I know how to pitch myself and manage myself. But when I didn't know, actually, funny story, I hired Candace to teach me way back, years ago when I launched my cosmetics brand. So track your visibility. And then like a bonus step for this is make sure you have a press page on your website that showcases this. So one of the podcasts I was interviewed for, one thing the host asked me for was like a link to at least one or two podcasts I had already been on so that she could understand like my conversational style. And so I was able, instead of having to go dig up those links, I just sent her straight to the press page. I'm like, here, sis, like all the podcasts I've been on are on my press page. All the blogs I've been featured in. If you want to check out my press page, for an example, it's thepowercollective.co/press. And so I document those things there just to make it easy. So it's like a two-step process. I actually add the visibility opportunity to my spreadsheet. And then when that opportunity actually goes public, I add it to my press page. Okay, so if you're just coming in, we're talking about 5 metrics that you should actually consider reviewing that most people tend to ignore. So the first one was your close rate, so your rate of actually landing sales on calls and on meetings. The second was your website bounce rate, so that you can actually do a better job of revamping your web pages. And the third was visibility. The fourth one I've talked about before, but I really want to drive it home. The fourth one is actually tracking your sales by product. So again, I know when you hit your sales goal, you get really excited. When you don't hit it, you're like, ugh, whatever, right? And you just kind of ignore it. But you have to start drilling down into the numbers. So yes, you made $10,000 this month or $5,000 this month, but like, where did that money really come from? So what percentage of your sales came from your VIP day offer or your 1-hour strategy call? From your consultation fees, from your digital download, from your course, from your corporate contracts. And so if you follow me again on Instagram, that's what I posted this morning. I posted, if you have to swipe to see it, but I posted a breakdown of where my money comes from, right? Like where my revenue comes from in my business, so that you can see like, hey, like this is what diversification can actually look like, right? And so tracking sales by product not only just gives you a little bit more transparency into your business. One, it makes you start to treat it like a business, right? Like this is not, as soon as you get a sale, it's direct deposit for you. it's in your business account. But then next, it also helps you to understand where you need to either increase your efforts or scale back your efforts, okay? Because sometimes we focus so much on the wrong thing versus there being another story for you to tell. There may be an opportunity for you to make something else a signature offer, or expand a product line, or do some add-ons for a course that's already doing really well, trending really well. Get those testimonials in from those who've already bought it and really like ride that wave. But sometimes we can just get married to this idea that we have of what our signature product or service will be, or what our thing is going to be. We kind of get obsessed with it versus actually looking at the numbers and riding that wave. So looking at sales by product is so important. And then the last one is audience retention. So audience retention is a little bit more difficult to track. I know on Facebook, they'll actually tell you your audience retention rates as well as your audience retention on video. So that's there. But then also really thinking about breaking down audience retention, not only around how long are you engaging them on video and in your live streams, but then also audience retention as relates to your previous customers. So what amount of your sales were repeats, right? And are you actually re-engaging your former customers and clients who are big supporters, who are big advocates, but are waiting on you to extend that invitation? And then I have a bonus point for you. The bonus metric to track is traffic sources. So this is on your website, in your Google Analytics, in your website analytics. But traffic sources basically tell you, of all the website traffic that you've had today or this week or this month, where did they come from? Did they come from Facebook, Twitter, Google, Instagram, Twitter? All of those things. So you have to make sure that you're reviewing that, because you might be putting a lot of time into the wrong platforms. So with that, make sure you go to my website, powercollective.co/resources, download my latest free ebooks, and I will see you all tomorrow for our live case study. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.